bets and sleepers, we don't lie. Catch us talking football as the casual guy. Find a good value in them underrated plays. Injured list changes almost every day. Got my notes and my charts like a playbook on the side. Hitting on the right picks, we ain't never gonna hide. We talk strategy and matchups, keep you in the know. Predictive analytics to help your bankroll grow. Daily fantasy lineups like a dream in the sky. Hop on this train, it's the casual guy. Action-packed episodes with some lively debates. Taking calls from the fans, always up for some weight. Lineup blocks and rosters from the west to the east. Our advice is the best, it'll turn you to a beast. Talk strategy and matchups, keep you in the know. Predictive analytics to help your bankroll grow. Daily fantasy lineups like a dream in the sky. Hop on this train, it's the casual guy. Yo, I'm the casual guy. Fantasy football's my game. Sending lineups like a pro. Winning money is my claim. Drive kings all day, value players in the mix. Find the hidden gems, that's how I get my kicks. Daily fan to my kicks. Daily fan to my kicks. Daily fantasy, this one's for you and me. Set your lineup right, and you'll see the victory. Check the NFL stats, who's hot and who's not. Scout the matchups hard, gonna take my best shot. Listen to my podcast, get tips on who to play. Join me every week, together we'll slay. Daily fantasy, this one's for you and me. Set your lineup right, and you'll see the victory. Check the NFL stats, who's hot and who's not. Scout the matchups hard, gonna take my best shot. Listen to my podcast, get tips on who to play. Join me every week, together we'll slay. Daily fantasy, this one's for you and me. Set your lineup right, and you'll see the victory.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back. It's week 7 in the NFL, and we are here to make some more predictions on DFS lineups for this week's contest. Last week, we did all right. If you played any of my lineups, I think we did okay. Before I get into last week's lineups, we have a guest here on the show today. This is a friend that I have that a lot of times we talk fantasy and DFS and things like that. So I want to welcome our buddy Devin to the show. Devin, what's up, bud?
What is up? Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday indeed, sir. Thanks for hopping in here today. And you and I, we always like text each other, whether it's we're in one fantasy league, like it's not DFS, so just your traditional like fantasy league stuff. So we text through that. I think we have similar interest in, you know, I
Sports
degenerate
teams.
gambling sports team. So I always love like throwing lineups at you and seeing what you come up with. And I know last year we were talking a little bit about doing the NFT DraftKings thing. We were going to go
Yes.
in together on that. Unfortunately or fortunately, DraftKings decided to completely dissolve the NFT, whatever it was called, I forget. but
The Rainmakers.
Rainmakers,
Yeah.
yes. It was kind of wild. And I got into it a little bit last season, but they ended up squashing it. They paid people out for all the cards that they had, which is kind of weird.
Cool.
But at least I got something out of it. I guess I didn't go too much into that, but you and I've been talking quite a bit in the last few weeks on DFS lineups and all that sort of stuff. Um, so yeah, welcome to the show, bud.
Cool. Thanks for having me, dude. I'm excited.
Of course. Yeah, I'm excited for you too. And I think it'll be fun to have someone to sort of play off of a little bit here too.
For sure.
As far as last week goes, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up. Can I make it bigger? Oh, I can make it bigger. That's what she said. But we'll go over this was kind of the lineup that I had for all of last week for the most part, I think. And I started Kirk Cousins, who didn't do much. He came in with 12.5 points. Jameer Gibbs, I'm not going to call him a dud, but he did get the snowflake at 12.1 points. Bijan, 25.5. Alan Lazard, 26.4. And that dude sort of saved. It was kind of like my money maker. Well, before I get too ahead of myself, Jaden Reed, 14.8. Chris Godwin was the dude last
Oh
week
yeah.
at 38.5 points.
Crazy.
And 6,900, yeah, he's on the more expensive side. I mean, he was more or not as expensive as Jaden Reed at 7,000, but he was a little more high priced. And I think I wasn't too hot on spending a bunch of money on wide receivers last week, even though they're, fairly high price there. I took a total gamble on Mark Andrews, who hasn't done anything this season, except for last week where he came in with one touchdown, 66 yards, 3 receptions. And that was good for 15.6 points, but at 3,900, like that was a great value. I'm not trying to, pat myself on the back. And then Jalen Tolbert at 8.3 points. I didn't expect a ton out of him. He is kind of a sneaky play for a touchdown. I think he is sort of my favorite cowboy on the roster because the price point at CD Lamb is like 8,600, something like that, and I have trouble justifying that kind of money. And then the Saints D, I went low on the defensive spending at 2,700, but they got 51 points rung up on them, but they still came out with 9 points. So we'll take that all day.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird storm last week, if I'm being honest. Let's switch to a different view so you can maybe see us. How do I do that? There we go.
There you go.
Okay, cool. As far as some of the lineups I've got this week, and I'd love to hear your feedback. Let's start with the first lineup. I've got Baker Mayfield at $6,600. And he's averaging 24.4 points this season. I've got, I'll just say this, like David Montgomery and Chuba Hubbard are like my go-to at running back. The price point isn't too bad. They're sitting, 6,600 for Montgomery and 65 for Chuba. I feel like they're decently priced and you get a lot of like they're high floor guys. Sorry, there's like some weird gnat. Um, there's some high floor guys, but I think, they're not gonna blow the gates off the thing and score you 30 something points, but I think you can count on them for like a high teens point return there. I had Chris Godwin. Well, I have Chris Godwin again this week. Trying to catch lightning in a bottle there. Christian Watson, he is at $4,900, and he's not getting you a ton, but he's kind of like a boomer bust, home run type of guy. He is questionable. Again, the Allen Lazard play, and I've been playing Allen Lazard quite a bit for the last few weeks. I think my mentality, at least last week, was the Jets have fired their head coach. They've kind of demoted their offensive coordinator and not having him make the play calls. And I think if you have watched Aaron Rodgers, he likes his safety blankets, his little dudes that he can always count on, not always to make the biggest plays, which Lazard did at the end of that half. It was kind of fluky, but
Cool.
I think Aaron Rodgers looks to those guys that he's comfortable with, and I don't think he's comfortable with maybe even Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, some of the other receivers in that Jets team. So, what do you think about the Devontae Adams stuff?
Oh man. I mean, obviously I think if you're an ex-Packers fan and you love watching Rodgers and Devontae play together, it's really cool. Like anything, like age is going to catch up to you, and obviously they're probably not going to be as good as they once were. I definitely think it's good for the Jets, but I don't think that they're going to be able to make a run with it. I think it's going to take a lot of targets away from Garrett Wilson. You're essentially running that Packers offense just with a rookie wide receiver. So
and
um,
the old offensive
yeah,
coordinator.
right.
He's not playing
So
calm plays, but
yeah, it's going to probably take a lot of red zone targets away from Garrett Wilson and Lazard. But I guess I'm just excited to see what the play looks like. I mean, coming from an AFC fan, East fan, like I'm not stoked, but I don't think it should have any negative effect against my team. So that's cool.
yeah, I'm curious to see what happens. I don't like it feels like J Lo going back to Ben Affleck to me is maybe the best analogy I can come up with.
Yeah.
And you liked him back then, but maybe people change and you don't like him so much these days. So I don't know. I mean, Devontae Adams is great, nothing against him, but when you've been apart for that long, do you think you can actually pull it back together to what it once was? I'm skeptical of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh, so, but that being said, like, I don't think you can discount that. To your point, I think Devontae is going to take some targets away from the other receivers. I don't know if it's Alan Lazard because how many targets does he has he gotten this season? Let's start with last week. He had 7 targets. Week 5, he had 10. Week 4, he had 8. And then 3, 2, and 1, he had 3, 4, and 9. So,
Very hit or miss.
yeah. But, I'm looking at this and I'm like, he's still getting, you know, what on average, probably 6, 7 targets a game. And
Yeah.
I think Aaron Rodgers goes to him when he's like desperate, if I'm being honest. Like he just needs someone to catch a ball and get a first down. And I think he goes to him a lot on like maybe second, third down type of plays. So I can't quit Alan Lazard yet until he stops scoring touchdowns consistently. I'm not getting rid of that dude.
Yeah, for sure.
You and I have talked about this, but for this week, Baker Mayfield feels like the absolute slam dunk play here. He's averaging 24.4 points on the season, and he's going up against let's see, Baltimore, which I think they're ranked 32nd in the pass protection game. So he could light him up. And I love the stack with Baker and Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin's been lighting it up. He's been playing more in the slot this year. And Mike Evans really hasn't been a huge factor. I mean, not as much as Chris Godwin's been.
Right.
He is coming in at $7,100 this week, which is not super cheap, but I think when we look at all the wide receivers, a lot of those top tier guys are going to be closer to that $8,000 mark, and the dude got you 38 points last week, so it's hard to turn away from him.
Yeah, especially at the 7,100 price point, because 38 at 6,900 is already insane. I mean, you're getting numbers for a $9,000 player,
Yeah.
typically. So
100%. My second lineup, I've got Jared Goff and Jahmyr Gibbs, and really like stacking those two together. I'm really just hoping that Jahmyr Gibbs gets involved with the passing game a little bit more, and I'm hoping that he breaks off one pass catch that goes for 60 yards and a touchdown is kind of my hope there. And they're playing Minnesota, who has the second ranked run defense. So
yeah, that game has a high over under too. I think it's the third highest of the week at 50. So there's going to be a lot of scoring. 50.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that's pretty high. So I love that, I think it will be sort of a shootout. I think the Lions take this game. I don't know about you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just after seeing them throttle Dallas the way they did, they scored back-to-back games with 40 points. I mean, Minnesota's defense is not very good. Let's just say that.
Their run defense is great.
It's good. But when you have so many weapons that you can spread the ball out with, it's so hard.
Hutchinson's out.
Right.
For the season. Right. I don't know that, but
he's done. Did you see the video of his leg?
Okay, like they showed the replay and I couldn't watch it. Like I don't want to see this dude snap his ankle. Yeah, I'm good off of that. I don't like scary movies. I don't like gore and violence and all that sort of stuff. So I did not pay extra attention to the injury. I don't just tell me what happened to him and I'm good.
Yeah, you didn't watch the video at all?
It was there. Okay, so they showed the replay and they're like, watch this. And I'm like, I don't want to watch this. So I looked above his ankle and tried to make that my focal point. It was terrible. I can't watch that.
I think they said he broke 2 different bones in his leg. So it's essentially what happened to Nick Chubb in his leg when he destroyed it. So
speaking of Nick Chubb, it sounds like he may return this week. Trying to think of who is it Jerome Ford that's maybe out this week?
I think he's questionable right now.
Questionable.
I could be wrong.
We can check that out when we start to build a lineup.
Yeah.
Again, I've got Chuba Hubbard in here. Like I said, with Andy Dalton behind center, this dude has just taken off. And since week 3, he had 114. Week 4, he had 104. Week 5, he had 97 yards. And then last week, he had 92 yards. 2 touchdowns in those 4 games. So he's not getting a lot of touchdowns, but he is getting you 4 to 5 receptions in the last, 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Not for a ton, but the receptions count, and he's getting close to 100 yards every game. So until that stops, like I'm riding this train at $6,500. I'm all in.
Yeah, definitely. I think Chuba Hubbard's essentially averaging 15 carries a game. And Washington, they're playing Washington, they have one of the highest team totals of the week, 51.5, which is the highest, tied with Seattle and Atlanta.
And the
But
Washington
Washington,
defense doesn't scare you.
no, they're allowing 137 rushing yards per game.
There
So
we go. There's our number, right? Like I think he gets close to 100 yards again, so I'll take that.
yeah, I'd take him to
Uh,
get in the end zone for sure.
This one kind of freaks me out a little bit. Tank Dell, I loved this dude last season. I was all over him. This season, he did not start well. But last week, you saw a little life come back to Tank Dell with obviously the Nico Collins injury. They got to go to someone else, and it's not always going to be Stephon Diggs. So, and they've traded away Cam Akers. Not that he was a big factor in that, but um, he did fill in for Joe Mixon when he went down, and I don't like them moving Cam Akers. I don't like that move. But does Tank Dell sort of come back? Are we getting closer to the Tank Dell we saw last year?
I mean, with Nico out for sure, I think Tank Dell is a monster. I was all over Tank Dell as well. I think I had him on every fantasy team I can get him on. I think at the beginning of the year they might have been a little bit more careful, like with him and his leg. Um, and they had Stephon Diggs. Like when you have a route runner like Stephon Diggs and Nico Collins, it's gonna be harder for you to want to go to what he's a year two player now. Um, it's gonna be harder to go to a guy who's fairly new when you have two extremely talented veterans. Like before Nico Collins went out, he was the number one wide receiver in the league,
Yep.
and it's so hard. I mean, now that he's out for a couple weeks, like Tank Dell is going to be probably a pretty big target in
I
these
think
next coming
so.
weeks.
I think you just hit it because his targets last week, he had 9 targets, 7 receptions, for 57 yards and a touchdown. But any week prior, the most looks he had was in week 1 where he had 7. But he's sitting at like 4.5 targets from weeks 2 through 5. They had a bye in week 4, so something to consider. But his fantasy point production, he was up to 18.7 last week compared to, his highest prior to that was 11.2.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous for Tank Dell against Green Bay. I'm not 100% positive if Jair Alexander's still injured or not.
I think he came back last week, and this sucks
Okay.
because I'm a Packers fan, but I did not get to watch the game. I don't have NFL League Pass or whatever it's called. That's the NBA.
Yeah,
But
it's one
I
of those
didn't get to watch the
subscriptions.
game, right? We get to
Yeah,
watch. We were both in Dallas, and so uh, we get the privilege of watching the Cowboys play every week.
get smoked. Yeah, yeah. I Green Bay's like secondary is so good. Like it's scary. Like they have what's his name? Xavier McKinney came over from the Giants. And I remember watching him play for the Giants last year, being like, dude, this guy is on the ball every single play. And that's obviously what's going on this year while he's on the Packers. So he's like, I'm pretty sure he's leading the league in interceptions right now. So if Jair Alexander and Xavier McKinney are playing, I'm a little scared for Houston. So for me personally, I probably won't play Tank Dell at 6,500. If he was a little bit under that, maybe I would consider it. But I think it's an important game for both teams. I'm personally not going to play it. I do like the play. It's just not for me.
What's the over under on that point total for the game?
Let me pull it up.
Because I think this one's also going to be a shootout.
Yeah, 47.5. So
yeah,
there you go.
Not quite as high as some of the other games, but I think it could well exceed any of the other games that we've mentioned prior to this. This it doesn't scare me. The Tank Dell, and as you can see, I've also got Romeo Dobbs coming in behind Tank Dell, so I'm kind of banking on both of these teams just airing it out. I think there's going to be some big plays. I think there's going to be some quick, third and out type situations too. But I think you're also going to see some bombs get aired out.
For sure.
Maybe Jordan Love and CJ Stroud aren't that dissimilar from each other in sort of their personnel that they have to play with.
Yeah. Yeah. It could definitely be a shootout. I mean, it's just one of those games. It's a little scary for me, and I'm like, I don't want a part of it.
Yeah, I get it. I'm not playing either one of their defenses. I did go with Lad McConkey here. I'm not super familiar with this guy, so a little apprehension there. But, I'm kind of, week 1 he had almost 15, and then week 4 he had 17. He's had some 5, 7, 8 point games at 4,800. I think it's a roll of the dice, but who are they playing? Arizona. Again, I think this could be a game where it's like 27-27 at some point.
Yeah, that's going to be a good game. Their total is 44. So I agree. I think Lads definitely roll the dice. I think it's a good play at the price if he actually plays.
Right. And I think that's a big part of DFS. What do you feel good about? And speaking of roll of the dice and who I feel good about, let's go. Mark Andrews. He's back, baby. $4,000 for Mark Andrews. I'm going to take the risk. He started out the season at 5,000. He's decreased because he had 0 targets in weeks 3 and 4. But I think you're starting to see a reemergence. He finally got a touchdown last week. The Ravens have like 3 tight ends that they're playing, but maybe they found out that didn't work and we need to go to Mark Andrews again.
Yeah, and with the high over under in that game, could be a big target.
Yeah, what's the over under on that one?
48.5. That's like
48.5. Yeah, we love those high scoring games. So, you know what? Like for the price point, I played Zach Ertz in that first lineup, and I think he's just a safe play. He might get a touchdown, even though he hasn't scored a single touchdown all season. Is that right? No, 0 touchdowns for Zach Ertz. So that's why I don't know. He's still getting a low floor. Mark Andrews feels more like a boomer bust, and I feel like we're on the right track with him. At the price point, I'm not going to argue. I'll take the risk there, and we'll talk more about that in my next lineup. Then I finish it out with David Montgomery. I mean, what else do we need to say there? And then I am playing that Patriots D, and we can, as we start to build a lineup We can talk about that a little bit more, but I think for the price point, it's 2,700. I'm basically punting my defense, kind of like not unsimilar to what I did last week. I just think like, you know, I could spend 3,300 or I could spend 2,700, and I think the outcome will be fairly similar.
Yeah.
My third lineup for this week, I have Brock Purdy. I don't know how I feel about this. I just kind of I don't like the higher priced quarterbacks, and I was looking for something lower than let's see, Jared Goff's at 6,500 and Baker was at 66. So Purdy comes in at 64. So I was trying to find something a little bit lower than those guys. Not that it's much, but there's that. Then I go back, Dave Montgomery, Chuba Hubbard. I went back to the Chris Godwin. We have Jawan Jennings that I tried to stack with Brock Purdy. He is questionable, so you might need to pivot there. I might need to pivot. And then I went with Quentin Johnson. This was sort of my last pick um, to my roster, and it just felt like the best move. Um, let's look at Quentin Johnson. His target share is low. You're averaging, around 5, I think, maybe a little bit less than that per game. Um, there's really not a lot to write home about with this dude. He had a really good week 2 against Carolina, who didn't. Um, and so maybe I actually kind of hate this pick, but going up against Arizona, nothing scares me there. So I kind of just wanted to um, bring a little bit of like variety into my lineups, and I think that's kind of a big thing playing DFS. So then tight end position, I went with Isaiah Likely instead of Mark Andrews, who has probably been the more consistent fantasy producer. And looking at his point totals, I'm going to take that back because week 1 against KC, he had 29. Week 2, he had 4.6. Week 3, he had 1.4 points. Week 4, he had 3.6. Week 5, he had 16.3. And then last week, he goes to 4.7. So he feels like a very much smash or pass type of player. But maybe he does hit on this Tampa Bay game. I think this is going to be a high scoring game. I don't love the picks on my third lineup here, to be honest. Ken
Nice.
Walker, that's my dude. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say some of those. Sometimes you just got to take a shot in the dark and hope for the best.
I think that's kind of it, man. Like you just okay, they fit into the budget and let's throw it. Um, Ken Walker, I love this dude when he's healthy. Uh, I mean, when he's healthy, his low is 14.6 points. So he's averaging 22.8 on the season. Yeah, I like that play still. And who are they playing? Atlanta. Doesn't
Yeah,
scare
that
you.
one has they're tied with the Carolina Washington for the highest over under at 51.5 as well.
We love that. So I
A lot of
think Kenneth
touchdowns.
Kenneth Walker could break one off. So let's talk about your lineups that you have this week because you sent me some cool lineups, man. And I'm gonna go ahead and build one. Let's see, $3 with 2,300 people at a 20 entry max. Okay, cool.
Sounds
So
great.
hit me with your lineups. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. It's those darn like captain ones. I want the classic.
Classic is the best.
Classic is the best. I'm with you there. Uh,
Let's see. I mean, do you
All right.
want one or two? I could just go with my
Yeah.
two.
No,
Okay.
let's start with your first lineup, and then I'm gonna play these. Um
Okay. Hopefully, we're not in the
and
same one. We're not going to be splitting the earnings.
yeah, no, hopefully we do. That would be cool.
That'd be cool.
All right, so who do you got at quarterback? Lineup
Cool.
one.
So, first one, again, with going along with one of the highest team totals of the week, I got to go with Jaden Daniels. I He's been
Yep.
tearing it up. I know he's expensive, but man, he's been doing so good.
He
And
has.
it's almost unreal, like how good he's been doing, and with how terrible Carolina's defense has been playing, it's like, come on, like
Yeah.
there's the rushing upside. There's your boy Terry McLaurin that's going to catch 1 to 2 touchdowns in this game. Like it's going to be ridiculous. I love it. I love everything about Jaden Daniels this week.
M- Me too. The only thing I don't love is his price point. He started off
Right.
the season at $5,700, and now he's up to $7,300. So quite the swing in 6 weeks. But you can't argue with production. The dude's slowest week this season so far was 13 points against the Giants.
Which is weird.
Um, Yeah, that is weird, but it was his second game as a NFL quarterback, but beyond that, I mean, 28, 28, 25, 20, 20. You can't argue with production. Um, I've been picking him pretty much every single week up until this week because I can't justify paying a $7,600 quarterback, but I still love the play. I think it's guaranteed 20 points.
Fingers crossed.
I don't think you even
Let's
need to cross him. He can go off
let's
for 30 plus.
hopefully that'd be cool. I think he will. I really do think he will. But again, hope for the
Hopefully, we
best.
get some rushing touchdowns in there.
That'd be sweet. That would be awesome. If Brian Robinson does go to active, I might edit a different Jaden Daniels lineup a little bit. Just because I'm a big Brian Thompson Jr., Brian Robinson. Brian
Robinson, yep.
Robinson, the guy that got shot his rookie year. He's the man. He's only been getting better and better. He's been hurt, so if he's questionable right now, I would reconsider editing a lineup if he's playing, but not really. So
The Carolina
I
rush defense is ranked 32nd in the league, which
so Jaden Daniels has some upside.
that's exactly my point. If here's the problem with Washington, they have 4 running backs, right? They've got Robinson, Eckler, I'm spacing on who their third running back is right now. Uh, uh,
Sure.
anyway, you've got 3 technically running backs in the backfield who all scored touchdowns last week or the week before. But then I think you could call Jaden Daniels a 4th running back. So it's the biggest committee there for me, which scares me off from um, Washington running backs, but I think you might be onto something with Daniels playing him this week because he could be the running back that just gets 2 rushing touchdowns and 1 to 2 passing touchdowns.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be good. On the other side, I gotta do double stack bring back. I got Chuba Hubbard at running back.
Our boy,
Obviously, we
what else
know
do we need to say about him? He's killing it right now.
he's doing great. Again, good running back, doing super good job. Um, Following that up, same play you've been making with David Montgomery. I love him. Um, he's gonna do a good job. It's
It's
hard
it
to
Yeah, go for it.
go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, 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 no.
it's just hard to get away from him. He's gonna do so good. Both of the running backs have a ton of upside with such high scoring games. Like it's hard to get away from either of them in these lineups.
My biggest thing is like, okay, you've probably got the best rushing team in Detroit going up at one of the best rush defenses in Minnesota, but it still doesn't scare me. And I think if you're going to play one of these two running backs against a better rushing defense, like it's David Montgomery all day. Like the guy has been incredible, not only last season, but this season as well.
Yeah, totally. Cool. So we'll move into the wide receiver. I mean, to stack with Jaden Daniels, we got to go with our boy Terry McLaurin.
Scoring Terry McLaurin.
He's gonna tear it up. Like he's had averaged a touchdown a game over the past 3 games. I know he went 2-0-1. So
Yeah,
um
that's all right.
you wanna Reagan's about to walk in. You want to give a little of what you think about Scary Terry really quick?
Uh, yeah, I don't have a problem doing that at all. I love Terry McLaurin. Devin and I were chatting a little bit before this, and I just love the connection that maybe he has with Jaden Daniels. And, he had this one fantastic catch, I think, in week 3. Um, and I think that just showed me like, okay, this dude's for real. Um, I, I don't know. I think he finally found a quarterback and somebody that can get him the ball. So I don't know. I'm just waiting for that 1 week where you're like, Terry McLaurin has arrived. We haven't seen that yet. Let's go ahead and look at his stats. Okay, so week 5 he had 112 yards, no touchdowns. Last week he had 2 on 53 yards, but 6 receptions. Um, week 3, 100 yards on 4 receptions and a touchdown. I just think like this dude's finding his groove. Um, I don't think we've seen the ceiling yet from Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, he's awesome. I mean, in the past 4 games, he's averaged 19 fantasy points, and that's without a touchdown in a game. So it's like whether he's getting yards or not, he's going to get a touchdown. And I think that's one thing I really like about him right now. I mean, him and Jaden Daniels are just really connecting.
Yeah, I want to look at Jaden Daniels passing touchdowns. So the most he's ever had in a game is 2. He had blanked on passing touchdowns week 1 and week 2. Week 3 he had 2. Week 4 he had in 5 he had 1, and last week he had 2. So don't expect a ton through the air, like passing touchdown wise. Like he hasn't given us a 3 touchdown passing game, but he's going to give us a 3 touchdown passing game if he's rushing the ball too. So I don't know, but okay. So we got Terry McLaurin. I love that with the stack with Jaden Daniels, and it's not too bad if you even it out. You're probably paying 7,200 a pop there. Um, if you average it out, I don't hate it.
Cool. Next pick, I have Darnell Mooney.
Oh, I love it.
Think,
He's at like 56. Yeah, there it is.
yes, 56.
Cool. Darnell Mooney. What do we expect from this dude?
It's one of those things where it's really hard to say. He's had what 3 games where he's gone over, I guess, 15 fantasy points, and again in a game where it's got the highest team total of the week. Kirk Cousins has been balling out, and Drake London is not going to catch every single ball. I think if the spread is 51, like Darnell Mooney is bound to get a couple end zone targets, and I think you could triple your value and get at least 15 points out of him if the game is explosive as we think it's going to be.
Yeah, I think this dude just needs like one touchdown to make him a 15-point player. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, uh, week 3, he didn't have a touchdown, but he had 8 receptions on 8 targets for 66 yards, and he got you damn near close to 15 points. So I love the Darnell Mooney play. I also love the Ray McLeod play, and I think um, it's kind of buyer beware in a sense where he's going to be boom or bust, and you have to live with that. But at the price point for Darnell Mooney or Ray McLeod, I think you can live with that, because I think either one of these guys, like you know, if we look beyond week 1, he's at least had 3 receptions for, let's see, the games where he had 3 receptions, it's 88 yards, 56 yards, and 38. Okay, you don't love last week. But I think he is a high ceiling, probably a low floor, but I don't think he's hanging out at the floor too much. It's like kind of boom or bust a little bit with him, but I'll take that risk. And especially when you see him come off of a down week, it looks like so far this season he responds.
Awesome. And just to keep going off the Jaden Daniels train, I got Zach Ertz at tight end. Looks like we skipped a wide receiver.
Yeah, we do
But we
need
could
one more wide out, but we can go
just straight into
Zachy.
Ertz. Might as well go with the stack.
Yeah, I love that. And I think both of those dudes find the end zone. I mean, I don't, maybe you can answer this, but I don't know who outside of Terry McLaurin and Zach Ertz is going to catch a touchdown for this team. And outside of like a running back, catching like a screen pass or something.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I know I've seen Luke McCaffrey get a couple crazy targets, but other than that, it's nothing I would be like, you got to put him on. I think he's maybe gotten average 1 to 2 targets, like on average for the whole year. So I don't think he would even be worth even looking at.
Gosh, I'm trying to
I'm sure he would be
find.
cheap.
I'm trying to find all the Washington receivers. All right. Just to be mindful, it is 6:47. Yeah, I can't find it. So whatever. We can move on.
Totally cool.
Um,
Cool. We can
so who
move
do you
on to
got for
like
that third wideout?
I have Lad McConkey in there. So again, similar play. He's 4,800. Again, in a high team total. Like I think he's going to get a lot of targets. I know he's a rookie, but I know Justin Herbert trust him. I feel like he loves throwing the ball to him. I know the other wide receiver, Johnson. I've seen him drop a lot of passes in his rookie year, so I still haven't like fully loved picking him. So that's why I like Lad at his price point at 4,800. He is questionable, so
Yeah, might need to
thankfully
pivot there a little bit.
you could sub him out for Alan Lazard if he does go out. But you're gonna pay
Hey,
close attention
that's
to
my
that.
boy,
So
Alan
we'll see
Lazard.
how it goes.
Let's go with your defense before we get into the flex.
So my defense. So you would need to submit this lineup pretty quick because it's
Yeah.
going to be the Broncos.
Yep.
Again, shot in the dark. Broncos
Playing
defense,
New Orleans.
rookie quarterback is one of the sole purposes. I'm like, their defense has been playing very hit or miss this year. It could very well be a revenge game for both teams. With Sean Payton being Denver's head coach, he could want to go after Spencer Rattler. So
Is that
we're gonna
Derek Carr's out? I might have missed that.
yeah. Derek Carr's out. He's gonna be out for a couple weeks. So
Yikes.
yep. So that's
Okay.
why I'm like, who knows? I
Also,
know
who's out for Denver?
Patrick Surtain is out as well. So a little scary. But one
A
thing
rookie quarterback at week
against a
7.
decent defense.
Yeah. Well,
And
yeah, go for it.
the Saints, Rashid Shaheed's out.
Not that he
Chris
can catch the
Olave's
ball
out.
anyway. Oh, Chris
Taysom
Olave
Hill's
is out
out.
too.
They're all out. Their starting receivers tonight is like Cedric Wilson, the old Cowboys wide receiver who played for the Dolphins. It's like something Bub or like Means. I'm like, who? These are like practice squad guys. So
Yeah. Ooh. It's in
might
New
be a
Orleans.
pretty good shot.
Yeah. I think you might be onto something there. That might be a good call by you. And I mean, to be fair, Denver's defense, they scored over 10 points in 4 out of 6 games.
Not terrible.
Not terrible at all. So, okay, I dig that. And then finally, your flex play here.
I got Darius Slayton.
There he
Who's
is.
also questionable, unfortunately. Good pick. I don't think Darius Slayton's a bad pick. He's averaged a lot of targets in the past couple games.
Yep,
11
targets the
in
past 2
2
games.
games.
Yep.
It's great. I wouldn't mind like possibly subbing him out, like if he gets injured with Algier. They're at the same price point, so you got a little bit of wiggle room. You got Devontae Wicks questionable too. I mean, you got some subpar like middle of the pack players that you can go with if you need to switch him out the last minute to make sure he's not injured. But if Malik Neighbors is coming back, I would be a little bit more nervous to play Slayton, especially because I don't know where the targets are going to go between Slayton or Wandale Robinson.
Yes, you hit the nail on the head there. That contest I tried to enter initially was full by the time we
Finished.
hit enter, which is fine. That's great. Cool. Well, we got another lineup that you want to hit, and we'll. Oh shoot. Whoops. That's fine. I'll
And
enter that
it
one.
could be filling
and then
fast, so I could just
they could
drill
fill
through it.
fast. So that's cool. Let's give it maybe 10 minutes on the next
Cool.
one. Let me 3,000 bucks. Yeah, this is the one. I want this. Oh shit. Is it a
Get
captain
smoked by
one?
another captain.
I keep doing that. Dang it. One of those showdowns. All right. Let's go. We'll go for the big play here. 317,000 entrants at $3 a pop, almost the $1 million mark for the total prizes. Let's send it. Tell me who you got.
Cool. Quarterback Jared Goff. He's gonna go off.
Jared
Minnesota.
Goff. Let's
We
hope
love him.
so.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll do a good job against
I think he'll
Minnesota.
be
I
all right.
mean,
When are we going
I
to see Amon-Ra St. Brown?
hopefully soon. That'd be nice.
I mean, I don't even know what this guy's done. Let's pull him up real quick. Yeah, not a lot to write home to about. 37 yards, 45 yards, 75 yards, 119 yards in week 2 and 13 yards in week 1. This guy has only broken 50 yards in 2 games, and they were 4 weeks ago. But his salary is still staying up there. He's had 3 touchdowns in 5 games. They had the bye week in week 5, averaging 17 points a game. Um, you don't hate him, but you don't love him, and he's not getting you what you would expect out of that guy.
No, not something I'm willing to pay up for, especially at how expensive he is. Like,
Yep.
what's he priced at? 8,300 just to get you maybe 17 points. Like, that's nowhere near worth the value that you're paying for.
Against a
Um,
32nd ranked pass defense.
I'm not into it.
I'm not either. I mean, I look at, we're looking at the top wide receivers right now. Justin Jefferson at 85. Okay, he could cash a touchdown, but he's
Yeah,
averaging 19.6. Um, Jamar Chase, I don't trust anything in Cincinnati right now, to be honest.
no.
And they're not playing a good Cleveland secondary. It looks like St. Brown, AJ Brown, um, playing the
He's
Giants,
played
who actually have a decent secondary. It looks like
he
based
played
on the
2
numbers. Yeah, right, and that's why his average is super high.
right.
But last game, what did he do? 6 receptions on 9 targets, 116 yards, 1 touchdown. That's not bad. 3 games. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It is 2 games he's only played. So, yeah, I don't maybe hate AJ Brown there, but
Yeah, no, not at all.
$8,000, I'm not willing to spend that kind of money.
No.
I'd way rather take a, Jaden Reed at $7,200, which even feels more expensive to me. Um, Neighbors at 7,500. That's kind of my point with some of these wide receivers. Like, I would way rather take a Terry McLaurin, uh, even a Brandon Ayuk at 6,300. Like, I don't know. I know they're playing the Chiefs this week, but that doesn't scare me off.
Right.
Um, is
I mean,
Khalil Shakir playing this week? Yeah, he's fine.
yeah, yeah, but I'm not sure if Amari Cooper is going to be playing. I know that they had like mentioned it, but I don't think he will on such short notice.
Yeah, the rap sheet here says the coach is unsure if he'll play Sunday. Um,
I
so
mean, what's his price point? 50 something, 5,800.
5,800, but if he doesn't play,
Right.
what's the
He
point?
could be a great play if he does
Yeah,
play,
I
but
think when I look at these wide receivers, like I'm like, okay, 64, 6,500. Okay, like I think there's some. I would probably go towards one of the high end 6 um, type of receivers, even like a Drake London, Devontae Smith, Terry McLaurin. I don't even know about Devontae Smith though. He doesn't give me a warm, fuzzy feeling inside. He's kind of averaging about 75 yards a game. Um, I okay. I would rather probably take Drake London before him, um, who's averaging more targets. Uh, so that's why I start to look further down the list on the wide receiver group. But hit me with your running backs.
so we got Chuba Hubbard again making a reappearance.
I
Obviously,
mean,
he's hard. to get off of.
The Isaac Garendo play, it's 6,600. Like, I don't hate it, but it makes me nervous because we only have one game, like, really sample size to go off of. And, at 10 attempts at 99 yards, he had a long that game of 76 yards. So, really, the other 9 attempts got you 23 yards. Like, that doesn't feel good to me.
Yeah, not at all. That's
Mhm.
so high for someone who just came in. Like,
Just
it's
came in. Like, I gotta see
ridiculous.
more. I gotta see
Yeah,
more.
I would understand if it was like 5,400. Be like, yeah, sure.
Oh, I'd play that all day. I'll take the
Yeah,
risk.
yeah.
Who else you got at running back?
This one is the blow your ACL 3 times man, J.K. Dobbins.
Okay. I'm
He's
gonna
been
have to
playing
type his name
good.
because no, I'm not saying he hasn't. Uh, I put JK. Let's just do
Dobb.
Dobbin.
No,
Why?
that's weird. Uh,
That's weird.
Interesting. His price point is
Am I
6,300.
He's not even on here.
Oh, you might be on a Sunday only ball.
Ooh, crap. Okay. He wants J.K. Dobbins. I'm gonna pivot and I'll go. Uh, what was this price point? 63.
63.
Uh,
Let's see. Just go with
I don't want
just put Tony
Tony
Pollard in
Pollard.
there.
No.
You could go
Okay.
with
All right, we'll do it. You know what? Tony Pollard's not bad. 15.2 on average, 6,300 bucks. I have not been
just the
paying
stuff.
attention to anything Titans football, but he had
He's been doing
93
good.
yards last week, 88 the week prior. Maybe they're getting him on track. So, okay, yeah, I'll roll with that.
He's getting a lot of attempts. Buffalo's run defense has not been what it is before, so he could be a good play.
Okay, we'll roll it.
Cool. Let's go wide receiver Chris Godwin, number
Let's
one fantasy wide
go.
receiver right now. He's a monster, which is so weird because he was good like 3 years ago, and now all of a sudden he's just tearing it up.
What am I playing right now? He is also not available. I'm not
He's
sure
a
what
Monday.
content. Oh, crap. So I must have just done a Sunday only. Okay. What's his price point?
7,100.
7,100.
You could sub him out for.
I'll go Jaden
I'm
Reed and I'll pull Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard was at what? What was his price point?
63. You would have to go
63.
to 62 to make this work.
You know what? I'm gonna go Austin Eckler.
Great play.
I'll go him at 5,900, and I can probably spend up somewhere where you
Yeah,
could.
he's definitely a sleeper. If especially if Brian Thompson or Robinson, that's his name, Junior doesn't play. Cool. So can't do Chris Godwin. Next play, I want to stack Jared Goff with Jameson Williams.
All
Cheap.
right.
It's only 6,000, and he has only had one game where he's had under 14 fantasy points.
Love that. And it was a bad game.
Yeah.
1.2 points, one reception for 9 yards, but he does, he gets open and Goff seems to find him on some of the bigger plays, like his longs, 37 yards, a 70-yard, a 50-yard, a 52-yard. So he's a big play guy. So yeah, I like that. It seems like he's had a big play in 4 out of 5 weeks. So let's
Yeah,
run that.
he's the man. And then we have Scary Terry again.
Let's go, baby.
He's awesome. We've already said it 4 times. Cool.
Tight end.
We're rolling with Zach Ertz, but if you want to pay up,
Ooh.
I
Yeah, I think I got $300 to pay up.
I don't hate Zach Ertz
If you
is
say
39.
Kyle Pitts, I'm gonna turn this off.
No, I would never say that. I
Yeah.
don't hate David Njoku, which is a weird
I
play.
yeah.
I know you don't like it.
I don't like it, and I'm gonna go Dalton Schultz
That works.
instead. And I think
He's
that
their
covers
number
the
one target.
300 I was down.
Yeah.
So I'll go Dalton Schultz. It's not that I hate David Njoku. I hate the Browns, and I hate
Yeah, me too.
Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson.
Let's hit your defense.
Well, I did have a $3,000 defense that you would not be able to play in the Broncos. So if you like another
I can't?
$3,000 defense,
Oh, because they're playing tonight.
Mhm.
Let's see. $3,000 defense. The options are the Rams or the Niners. Yeah, I'll take the Rams
Sounds good to me.
against Las Vegas. Now, here's the thing.
Yes.
With Las Vegas, I actually think that Las Vegas might rebound a little bit this week. I think there's so much negativity with Devonte Adams leaving, but he also hasn't been a factor. So I think it could open things up for Las Vegas, if that makes sense. And they might not be as bad on offense. And with a quarterback change, I think sometimes that sort of gives you a little bit of a spark. And I don't think the Rams defense is uh, particularly scary at all, but I would I they might make a play. I still think that Vegas might surprise people this week, but go ahead. I'll slam the Rams in there.
All right. And then just to put the last player, I'm making sure you can fit it in, is going to be Tyler Boyd.
There
And
it
this is
is.
like a Hail Mary. Like, hey, we're hoping for the best. Like, they're playing Buffalo. They're most likely going to be down. They're going to need to throw the ball a lot. So I think it's an extremely risky play. That's why he's 3,900. But it's one of those plays where, hey, if you need like to get a little bit more of an expensive player, and you are willing to throw the ball up like Aaron Rodgers to Alan Lazard, go for it.
Yep.
I don't hate it, but it's one of those plays that I'm not like, hey, you should do this. But
100%. Well, cool, man. It is 7:07, so get your lineups in. We got about 8 minutes until kickoff. Cool, man. Thanks for hopping on tonight, dude.
yeah,
Had
dude,
fun.
thanks for having me. Yeah, so fun.
Of
Love talking
course.
football.
We love it. And I love talking the gambling side of it.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
is so funny because I'm in like a pick'em league where you just pick the over-unders on each game every week, and I suck at it. But I think the DFS stuff I'm just more accustomed to playing, I think,
Yeah.
in the fantasy stuff. So cool. Any other sleepers, picks you love out there that we haven't mentioned?
I don't believe so. I mean, not that I have written down, or I do have Zay Flowers as a sleeper. Obviously, with that Tampa Bay game being a little crazy, he's had 2 back-to-back really good games, so that's it.
Yeah.
No one else.
And I think he's, uh I think he's the preferred target in Baltimore.
Yeah. I mean,
And
the
gets a lot of targets.
targets.
Yeah. I'm totally with you there, man. Well, cool. I guess we could call it a wrap, and that's it for today. Get your picks in. Get your lineups rolling, and may you all have a blessed fantasy week, a DFS week, whatever you play. But yeah, I think we'll call it a night.
Cool.
All right.
Thanks for having
Thanks,
me.
Steph.
All right.
Later. All right. Give it up for our boy Devin. With that, like I said, we're getting close to game time, so I will let y'all go. Thank you for tuning in. And if you're catching this late, hopefully you can play some of those Sunday picks, whatever it is, or be able to pull some of our picks from tonight and play some new DFS order lineups and fill in the gaps. So other than that, we are out. I'll see y'all later.
Yo, I'm the casual guy. Fantasy football's my game. Sending lineups like a pro. Winning money is my claim. Drive kings all day, value players in the mix. Find the hidden gems, that's how I get my kicks. Daily found in my kicks. Daily found in my kicks. Daily fantasy, this one's for you and me. Set your lineup right, and you'll see the victory. Check the NFL stats, who's hot and who's not. Scout the matchups hard, gonna take my best shot. Listen to my podcast, get tips on who to play. Join me every week, together we'll slay. Daily fantasy, this one's for you and me. Set your lineup right, and you'll see the victory. Check the NFL stats, who's hot and who's not. Scout the matchups hard, gonna take my best shot. Listen to my podcast, get tips on who to play. Join me every week, together we'll slay. Daily fantasy, this one's for you and me. Set your lineup right, and you'll see the victory.